Right, hey guys, this is Matt Barlow from Ashes of ARES, and this is Sonic Perspectives.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another interview of Sonic Perspectives. I'm Rodrigo, and my guest today is Matt Barlow from Ashes of ARES. Matt, great to have you with us.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, we're here, of course, to talk about the new Ashes of ARES album, Emperors and Fools. Let me start by saying it was way heavier and thrashier than I expected. Was that by design?
I don't know why. I don't think it was by design, man. I think it's just the way it worked out. Maybe it was just how kind of we were feeling and the idea, that the ideas that we were coming from. Obviously, Freddie's he's got a lot of background in thrash and death metal and things like that. I sort of started out, cutting my teeth on thrash stuff. 80s Bay Area thrash was a huge inspiration and influence on me. So I think it just maybe I was going off of what Freddie was laying down, and it just we went from there. We try to whenever we're writing, man, we really try to be as organic as possible. We
Mm,
don't go into it with really preconceived notions of what the other one is going to be producing or what they're what kind of music is going to come out. I trust Freddie to bring the heavy metal and I to do what I do. So it like I said, it's usually a very organic thing, man, and we're a true partnership where that's concerned.
yeah, and I listened to the album for the first time in one of my runs, which I always do to try and experience music firsthand. And I must admit, I was taken aback by the heaviness, and I love it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were trying to keep it pretty raw too. We weren't really trying to go for an overproduced sound. Um, it well, for one thing, let's face it, budgets don't allow it,
Yeah.
in a particular budget that we're in. We're a small label. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money, a little extra money to throw into it. And we're also not gearheads. We're not
Uh,
you know, uh, budding young producers. I know that there's like a lot of bands out there. The guys, are, they're growing up producing stuff. That's not, we're kind of old school, man. You can tell by the beard. So, uh, we're just not the gearhead type. We do the best we can, and I produce my own vocals here in my studio. Freddie produces his own guitar stuff there. But outside of that, we try to keep it pretty raw.
yeah. And the first single, By My Blade, is an example of that. And it bridges the gap between Slayer and more traditional metal like Judas Priest, for example. Tell me about that one and about the choice of it being the first single.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is we that was sort of intentional to kind of punch people in the face right out of the gate.
Yeah.
The last first release that we did with Roar, we you know it wasn't necessarily our choice. I mean, I love the song. I mean, I love all of our songs, but it wasn't necessarily our choice to release a more mellow song as the first release with a lyric video.
Mhm.
Um, we intentionally wanted to release, our first release for this record lyric video. We wanted it to be really, kind of punch you in the face, kind of a sound. So that's what we went with. It's not the only one on the record. Just to know. But it's got some catchiness to it, and just one that we felt like was the right one to release.
Yeah. And I know you started writing the album right after the previous one, Well of Souls, was done. So it's really surprising how it came out so differently. Honestly, a nice surprise for me. So,
Yeah, well, again, I think it's organic. There are some things, and like for instance, Monsters Lament. That was actually one that we were thinking about doing for the last record, but it just
mhm,
didn't. I was doing what we wanted to do with Tim. So and we have plenty of material, obviously. So so that's sort of a holdover, and I think we had been working on I think Iron Throne as well. for that. We work on a lot of stuff at once. We want to at least be able to have songs that we can pick and choose from. Ultimately, knowing that we're going to use that song or at least a variation of that song, for future releases. That's kind of what we want to do. We want to take stuff that we like. I mean, there's obviously there's lots of stuff that we scrap and things like that. Just ideas that don't ever pan out. But for the most part, with Freddie and I working together to create these songs, even if it's just a matter of moving things around, adding on to choruses or adding on, certain couple measures onto a verse or whatever. We really try to work together where that's concerned, and we don't approach it, with egos going, okay, hey, this song is done. This is how I want the song to be. Gone, for instance, that's one that I started writing, and and my limited ability to play guitar and things like that, it ended up a lot different song than what it started out to be. But at the end of the day, it's still a very powerful song. I wanted it. It was it was more going to be more of a more acoustic sounding song, but it needed it, especially with this record, because all the other songs were much heavier. It just made sense to add and to do those big choruses and things like that, and it just worked out really well. And thanks to Freddie, for going, hey, we kind of need to do this. It's perfect. It worked out great. And that's the benefit of not having a preconceived notion when you're going into a song, into writing it, co-writing a song together. You sort of have to be able to, roll with the punches, ebb and flow, and just let things happen. So
Yeah. No, I had a question about Gone later down the track, but let me ask about that one now, because it's probably the only moment on the whole album where we get some time to breathe, right? Because it starts slowly, and it's clearly one that evolved through time, like you mentioned. We started with your acoustic playing, and then sort of added elements to it. It's like a roller coaster, that one, right?
yeah, and it is, man. But it's I think that that, again, the benefit of us doing stuff together, it lets it to really become more of a dramatic piece, and crescendo and to that nice chorus and things like that. So yeah, it's cool, man. It is I think it's a really heartfelt song. I had everything that I put into that song emotionally is very very intentional and very true, to how I feel and how I would feel, and without giving it away to the listeners, because people haven't well, I guess some people have heard the song now, but the idea behind it um, was really one that I, as a man with a family, that's how I would want my family to remember me. So that's what the
Oh,
song.
cool. Cool. I didn't know that was a thing, you know. Very cool. But what's clear to me on this album is that the identity of the band is preserved, but you're, of course, expanding your sound, going into new territory, which is kind of a difficult thing to achieve nowadays, when a lot of bands are kind of pushed to, sticking to what they know, right?
Right.
Yeah. In
Well,
the, yeah, go ahead.
I think the main thing is that it, Freddie and I do this because we love it. We're not doing it for the money, because we're not making any. I'll tell you that. We have other careers that that pay our bills and things like that. So at the end of the day, we have to do this, and we have to love what we're doing. So that's kind of where we're at, man. We've got influences, but we're not trying to be anybody else. We're just trying to be ourselves and produce music that we enjoy, and hopefully, we're hoping, obviously, that other people enjoy it as well.
hmm And of course, you have Van Williams again playing drums with a very organic sound, which I think it's different from the current output where everything is triggered, but there's none of that on the album, right?
I don't know how Van does his magic, man. He was doing the stuff in his own studio. That's kind of the crazy thing about this too. We're all doing our individual parts in our own studio. We've been doing that for forever, for the whole for pretty much for the whole time we've been recording. Um, so we've been recording separately and things like that. But this
Mm.
is, I guess, even more so with this record and the last one. I do all my vocals at home and things like that, and Freddie does all his guitars at home, and Van was doing his drums at home. So, but that's the benefit of knowing how to record stuff and knowing, having that experience of being in the studio and things like that. And so we sort of know should be and how things should sound, and then just let an engineer, a sound engineer and producer, put the polish on stuff.
Hmm.
Like I said before, we weren't really going for a real polished sound with this anyway. We were just really trying to, raw.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that because it's a fresh sound for me. I'm so used to everything being triggered and more artificial. This is a natural sounding album. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's cool because that's the kind of stuff that we grew up listening to, and that's the kind of stuff that we know, and hopefully hopefully you're right. Hopefully it is a fresh sound for other people as well. And I know that there are a ton of beautifully produced records out there, and I know a bunch of producers that produce beautifully sounding, awesome metal, clean, very clean sounding and all that. That wasn't really going for on this one. And I have all the respect in the world, as as all my producer friends know. I have all the respect in the world for them. So,
Mm.
uh, cut is not, we're not trying to get away from that necessarily, but kind of, we're just trying to be as raw as possible.
Of course, yeah. And Jona Weingarten once again wrote the intro for the album, which sets the tone for the whole thing that's to come.
Mhm.
Just like on the previous album, right? What kind of
Yeah.
input do you or Freddie usually give Jonah in terms of what the album wants to convey?
Well, that's the thing. His intro kind of is the intro not only for the record but also for the first song, for our
Mhm.
first night. So, A City in Decay sort of gives you a little preamble to what the character is about. And I don't know if you picked up on who the character is or not, but I won't throw it out there so I don't get sued by DC Comics.
Fair
But
enough.
but anyway, so it kind of gives you that idea prior to, and gives you that feeling, that kind of that brooding feeling. And that's what I just told you know um, Jonah when we asked him to do it. It's like, hey man, this is the direction that we're going with, and this is the key that the song is in, and all this other stuff, so we can kind of so it sounds there's a nice blend when it comes into it, and pow in the face. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. And just let him go crazy too. I mean, it's much the same as with having Tim on Monsters Lament. We were going with a basic melody and basic placement of structure of the lyrics and things like that.
Hmm.
But I don't want Tim to not be Tim. I want Tim to be Tim all day long. You know what I mean? So
Of
that's
course. Yeah.
he's his own guy, and he's got his own signature on things, and that at the end of the day is just beneficial not only for us but for them, and allows them to be artistic along with us, and create something new and fresh.
Yeah. And Kamil, let me see if I get his surname right. Kamil Pietruczynik.
Yeah.
Once again did the cover, and I think he captured the essence of the album in visual form quite well with that chessboard. Same question about Jonah. I mean, do you guys give him any insights or any input of what the album wants to convey, or?
Well, yeah, and with Camille, that is, yeah. I mean, with the sort of give him a little bit of explanation of the songs, because he also does all the artwork in the jacket as well. For each
Mm,
song, another piece of artwork. Which, again, man, we are so blessed to have him as part of the team. Man, he does an amazing job at conveying the emotion of the song with a piece of art. So, with the cover of the record, we we were kind of we actually weren't 100% that we were going to go. We didn't know what the name of the record was going to be to begin with. We didn't know if it was going to be Ashes of Ares 3 or whatever. But
mm,
we decided to go with Emperors and Fools. It has have the name of the record match the name of the song, and so on and so forth, because it did seem right. Freddie actually kicked that out there and said, "Hey, man, you want to do a title track, kind of a vibe." And so I said, "Okay, that sounds cool, man." So when we're looking at the 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 artwork itself, we're kind of going with the idea. So the song, just a little insight, the song is actually inspired by a line from The Count of Monte Cristo, and it's a line that that Napoleon was stated to one of his subordinates after he had given Dantes the letter to give to one of his followers. Dantes, of course, didn't know that. He thought he was just delivering a nice message. And so Napoleon says to his subordinate, we're all just kings and pawns, emperors and fools. Dantes, obviously, cool. Dantes being a fool at that point. So with that, since Emperors and Fools was the name of the record, we went with the Kings and Pawns for the visual. So, and it just worked out really well with the idea. And we said, hey, if we can have Ares as one of the kings, and then the one-eyed king, if you can see him off to the right of Ares, who's another character that we've used several times before. And the one-eyed king represents, for the most part, the one-eyed king sort of represents media, social media, things like that. These things that influence us and do these things that we don't even sometimes know how we're being influenced. So, and then there's other various kings, and obviously those are going to be other various kings, and that are around us all the time that kind of dictate how we live our lives, and oftentimes that we get crushed underneath the weight of those kings. So we're all just pawns down here.
That we are. Yeah. No, very cool name. And I think the songs are not interconnected, but the kind of overarching theme would be the current state of society, politics, how we're divided, and how divided we are at the moment, right?
Yeah, that's true, man. There are definitely some themes in there that kind of fall in that, and it's not all politics, but certainly some of it is. And just, yeah, you're right. We're very divided, as human beings right now, and it's somewhat disturbing. Well, actually, it's very disturbing, and it's very disturbing that people profit off of it. So that's probably, to me, the more disturbing thing is that the idea, if it bleeds, it reads, that old from the media, that we see that every single day, man, every day, and it's horrifying. It's really horrifying to me. So anyway, I won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but
Yeah. On that note, let me ask you about the lyrics. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. I hope it brings us together. Are you optimistic of that happening, really, or? Because I'm not, to be honest with you. I don't know.
That's the thing. It's really, that song is me pleading. That let's hope. Let's hope to God. Pray to God. Pray to Allah. Pray. Whomever you pray to each other. Let's make it happen, because if we don't start, it's never gonna happen. So
yeah, and I think one thing I'm actually making a point of doing is talking to people who I know are of a different political inclination than myself. I think it's an exercise we need to start doing. I don't know, maybe that's something to start doing. Yeah.
Totally. And being open to the other side, man. I understand that's kind of the point of it. It's not, we all don't have to agree on everything, let's agree on that. Let's agree that we don't have to agree, and be honest about it and be true about it and go, look, man, because the thing is, I can't know what your life experience is. I can't know where background you come from, or what it really anything about that. I mean, the one thing obviously that links us is our love for music. Otherwise, probably neither one of us would be doing this, right?
Yes.
I don't imagine you're making a ton of money doing this kind of stuff, right? So, right. So that's the stuff that we can agree on. So we have common ground as humans for each other, and understand that, just because I feel a particular way, it's okay that I feel that way. I don't feel that way because I'm slighting you. I feel that way because this is my experience, and
exactly
much the same way. I have to understand that hey, I don't know what your background is. I don't know what anybody's particular life is about. So I have to be less judgmental, and I have to understand that I have to be, and everybody needs to be that way. Everybody needs a lot less judgmental of everybody else's position, man, because otherwise we're doomed. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, fully agree. And I think the question you get on every interview is about Monsters Lament, an 11-minute epic with you and Ripper Owens singing together.
Yeah.
Was it really originally written to be this long? And how did the idea of you guys singing together come about?
Yeah, it was, and this is Freddie's. I mean, this is Freddie's baby, man. I'll give him a, 100%. Man, he wrote the song. He had the idea of he wanted it to be a duet. He wrote it that lyrics that way. So we've got two. It's not a duet like where we're getting up there and singing together and doing all these, but we're we're two characters that are sharing an experience.
Hmm.
So we're doing different lines and things like that. I helped out with the melodies and kind of placement of stuff, but then and I did both mine and Tim's parts, and then we passed it on to him and said, hey man, these are just parameters that you need to fall in, but you be you. Don't just do don't not be. We wanted Tim to be Tim, and so we had very limited parameters as far as where the song needed to be and where the lyrics needed to be in the song and things like that. But we wanted him to really rock it out. So I think it worked out well, man. We're highlighting each other's strengths in our voices and things like that, and you can see the differences there. And so there's obviously two separate characters. We're doing two different things, and but we're sharing this experience together, and I get to be the a-hole in the song. My character is the worst person on earth, but it's okay, because that's we got to be nice to our guests.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I don't think you guys ever sang together like on stage. Is there a chance of that happening, even like on a release party kind of thing or a one-off situation?
I wouldn't hold any. I would be cool with that, man. If we can make something like that happen, that would be fantastic. But it really depends on the temperature of everything that's going on right now with lockdowns again and all this other stuff. So we'll see, man. We'll see how things go. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to do something with Tim, man. He's just a super nice guy, man, and just a hoot to work with and be around. So yeah.
Yeah. There's a few guest solos on the album too. Wiley Arnett from Sacred Reich and my fellow countryman Bill Hudson from North Dale. How did each of these guys get involved?
Well, they're friends. So again, it's just nice to have friends, and Freddie reached out to those guys to do solos, and it's just a blast. It's nice having them on there, man. You can go, oh, that's got to be Bill. Yeah, there we hear him. So it just adds a different flavor, and it's just nice, man. It really is.
Yeah.
And we could afford to pay more guest musicians to be on the record, but unfortunately, our budget is tight. So we do what we can.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And let me ask you about the layered vocals, which is something you've always done on pretty much all your releases. How did that idea occur to you in the first place, and how did you start layering them?
Man, I think I started probably layering stuff back in, like, something wicked, and then just kind of
Mm,
I've sort of added on and done more stuff. I probably like with did quite a bit with on horror show and things like that, but I've just always done it sort of one of the things that I picked up from one of one of the things that I picked up from Jim Morris, and it was kind of, that was always the funny stuff that we would talk about in the studio whenever I was working with Jim, and he'd
mm.
go, let's do this, let's put this on here and do all this stuff, and like I remember John going, well, how are we going to pull that off live? And Jim was like, I don't care how you pull it off live. I just care about how it's going to sound to hear. It's sort of always been my thing, my go-to thing, and I kind of chuckle about it, and I go, well, you know what? I'm going to go with the Jim Morris point of view on this.
Mm.
Sounds good on the record. That's really all I care about at this point. I'll work it out with the live performance. And I know some people, are purists, and they go, but at the same time, when people come to see us live, I don't know that they're scratching their heads and going, man, I really miss those other two voices in there.
Voices. Yeah.
Because we do our best to work it out. Because actually, like Freddie's got a really nice voice, and so
Hmm.
if I can live, I utilize Freddie, but it's not always an option for us right now. How we're recording and things like that. So I just, I can I don't have to sit there and mess around with it, man. If I hear it and I can nail it, I just nail it, and then we mix it and try to do that. But yeah, I like doing stuff, man. I mean, again, we're doing this for the love of it. We're not doing it for money. So if
Yeah.
I get way out of it and I can create, do a soundscape of voices, and I can pull all the music down, and I've got this really cool like chorus thing going on with all these voices. Hey, it is what it is, man. Maybe it's just me, but I hope that I still hope people like it. People
Yeah.
understood my.
Yeah, no, some bands you want to hear exactly how the album sounds, on a live setting like Rush or Dream Theater, for example. But that's not the case with you guys. Or for me, like traditional metal, it's supposed to sound different live. It's supposed to have a more like a higher energy and a different sound. So yeah, it's okay.
I do my best, man. I mean, I try to bring the energy whenever I do any live performance. So, hopefully that makes up for it. And like I said, I utilize Freddie times for vocals. If I feel like, hey man, we got to have this in here, especially if it's a chorus or something, you're gonna have to do the vocal in the chorus, bro. And whoever else we can get to sing in there, we'll do it. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. And on a side note, you're a police officer, right? How do you balance your musical career, your day job, the business side of being a recording musician? You must not sleep all that much, right?
I know, man, I do. I mean, it's uh, you know utilizing the time, and
Mm,
for I can record stuff, at my home studio. So I just try to, if I'm working on stuff, I'll try to go out there for a couple hours, knock some stuff out, and then come back in and have a regular life. So that's certainly the benefit of this and being able to do music this way. But as far as like touring and things like that, obviously it definitely puts a damper on things as far as how much I could potentially tour. So I don't, I can't do what other working musicians do. It's not feasible at this point, but
yeah.
we'll see in a few years, man. I got a couple years to retirement, and we'll see.
Fair enough. And let me touch on a sensitive topic if I can. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it, but I loved your EP with John Schaefer, Winter Nights. Is there a chance of a follow up, and how's he doing at the moment?
Yeah,
If you can
yeah.
tell us. Yeah.
John is my brother-in-law, obviously. Yeah. The only thing I can say is he's doing okay.
Mhm.
I talking anything about anything else where that's concerned, and hopefully we can do something else. Another record or something that would be great. So, just let's all be hopeful about the outcome of everything.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Last question for me. You said it yourself. The prospect of a full tour is wishful thinking at this stage. But are you planning at least some live shows to release the album in any capacity or not?
We would like to, man, but right now it's really hard to tell. Obviously
Yeah,
areas are starting to go back into lockdown and things. So we'll see, man. It's really touch and go at this point. Obviously every musician was hoping that this would be behind us by the time we entered 2022, but unfortunately now it looks like it's rearing its ugly head again.
yeah, yeah. I'm here in Canada, and I like this concert's booked for like a month from now. I didn't get a ticket because I know it's gonna be canceled. So it's tough for a concert goer as well. So
Just think about that with local promoters and things like that. It's going to be less chance if for them getting these shows booked if they can't guarantee
yeah,
because they've got to do guarantees for the and I'm sure the contracts are a little bit different now. So everybody's probably going, well, we're going to do this, but I can't guarantee. I can guarantee if we're playing the show, if it's one, I can guarantee you this much, but it's tough, man. It really is. Because before you could pretty much guarantee, as long as people knew bands were coming through town, you'd have pre-sales and those promoters would have that money guaranteed for them, and the bands would already essentially be paid just on those pre-sales. And now it's tricky, man. So
you really can't say. Yeah, yeah, that's tough. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Matt, for your time. All the best with the new release. I hope I get to see you live sometime soon.
I appreciate it, man. You take care of yourself.
Cheers. Take care.
Later.
Bye.
Just wandering in this world, looking for the answer.